Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of If I May Speak Candidly. I'm your host, Megan. And I first want to thank those who tuned into last week's episode, who have liked, shared, and subscribed to the channel so far, and left comments. It is highly appreciated, and I just am so grateful for those who took the time out to support me and my new little passion project here. Um, I just have to be 100% transparent. I had such a hard time getting that video out. I shared a lot of clips to kind of enhance the video, but WWE has a is they have a they are a stickler, okay, for you using their clips, and so I had to re-edit that video so many times in order to get it past the initial checkpoint to the point where I can upload it. So um, there is that. But again, I'm just really grateful for those who um, decided to watch it. I have a thing with consistency and being consistent. So not only is this something that I'm um, trying to do in order to practice being more consistent, but it's also something that I really love doing. And as long as I have an opinion about things that is going on in as well as out of the ring, as you will see on this episode, this podcast will go on. And I have a lot of opinions about a lot of things. So I intend on this show being around for a while at the very least. So again, thank you for those who are tuned in. Definitely appreciate those who have shared the video and given their opinions and feedback on the things that I've chose to speak on, and I hope that you will tune into what I have to say today, because I have some really important things that I do want to talk about. And yeah, it's gonna be something. So let's get to those topics. So for the first topic, it's definitely been something that's been on my mind for the last couple of days, specifically because of the discussions online about Triple H and black wrestlers and their representation and how they are treated, and his bad blood press conference response to it, and just me being a woman of, well, I am a woman of color, but I am a black woman, and just the importance of seeing those who look like me, who I their identity is the same as mine's. I will want to see those people specifically be treated as equally as everyone else. And you know, I would be a liar if I said I didn't feel like Bianca and Jade was treated extremely well. I do. I honestly believe that they have been treated really well. You have Bianca, she's a 3-time women's champion. She is now a 2-time tag team champion. Jade, she's just seen her first year last month, and now she is a 2-time women's tag team champion. And so I know that there are some people who might feel like they deserve more. There are some that believe that they don't deserve as much as they're getting. But at the end of the day, I do feel that they have been treated very well. But on that note, they had a women's tag team championship match against two NXT superstars that I have been dying to see them go up against. Specifically when Bianca and Jade had their tag team titles for the first run. And that is Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. And so we finally got that match. A lot of people been wanting it. A lot of people been urging for it, yearning for it, protesting about it, tweeting about it, posting about it. And we finally got it this past Friday on SmackDown. But what they decided to do, which I don't know whose decision it was to make that happen, but they decided to have Kevin have his temper tantrum in the middle of the match. And I think it irritated people to no end as much as it irritated me. And I'm going to tell you why. So you have these two women, Lash Legend and Miss Jackson, who are NXT superstars. This was their main roster debut. They have never performed on the main roster before, and now they had the opportunity to. And their debut was a championship match against who? Two of the big three on the main roster, which is Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. And on top of that, this was a first of its kind type of match. You never had four black women going up against each other for tag team gold. So it was a very loaded match, and it was made beautifully. And for whatever reason, they just decided, let's just throw Kevin in the mix. You know, it's fine. We'll throw him in the mix. We'll throw Cody in the mix. Hell, we even throw Randy in it, and it will be fine. But the thing about it was, it wasn't fine. It was not fine. And a lot of people was very upset behind it. And, you know, it doesn't help the purpose when your chief content officer is saying he doesn't see color, which, as I mentioned in my last episode, we all see color. And it doesn't necessarily make you racist or prejudiced if you say you do. I think it's realistic to say that you do. And it doesn't make a lot of the treatment that stems from it right. It's absolutely not correct at all. But to say that you don't see something that we have to live and we have to experience, and it is our story to tell, is kind of downplaying whatever experiences comes from being something that you are not, and that is a black person, a person of color. And so it was kind of like a slap in the face, in a sense, to have that happen during that match. I mean, it could have happened at any other given time. It could have happened during the first match, which was Carmelo and LA Knight, or it could have happened if any other matches after the fact. It did not have to happen during their match, but it did. And it left a bad taste in the mouth to everyone. And so, you know, it's kind of sad that had to go down the way that it did, but I'm hoping, better yet, I'm suggesting that you redo that match. It needs to happen. We need that rematch. We need to see them four go up against each other again. We were cheated out of a really good match, and they deserve a redo for that. So get on that. So the second topic kind of hits home for me as well, because I spoke to this man a couple of months ago via email, and he kind of gave me heads up on his situation, so to speak. And you know, I have to be. Let me be clear with this, okay? Allegedly, 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 allegedly. A WWE Hall of Famer is behind this man being on the bench since March of this year. That's about 7 months since he has had a last televised match. And if you don't know who I'm talking about by now, I am talking about Ricky Starks and his recent appearance where he shared once again why he's not on TV, why he's not wrestling, and just his current status with AEW. And I think, you know, I don't think, I know that that is such a disgusting thing to do. For one man to take money out of the hands and the mouth of another man out of pure pettiness. It's tactless, it's childish, and it's pathetic. And I have to also hold the CEO, the general manager, the founder, the president, the owner, Tony Khan, responsible for that as well, because at what point are you going to be the man that we need you to be and to really make the final calls when it comes down to these things? When are you going to be the one that has the final say? So, yeah, you have Ricky on the bench. You have this WWE Hall of Famer who is now on the bench due to an injury that he sustained during the match. And you have neither one of them on TV now, which is it's really ridiculous. Like, let's be honest. Ricky looks good on paper. He's easy on the eyes. He's in fit. He's in shape. He's a talented wrestler. He's young. He has time on his side, but not when you have him locked up in a contract and you refuse to utilize him. You are taking something away from man that we have not figured out how to get that back, and that's time. And once time is taken away from us, we can't get that back. And you really need to put on your big boy boots and really start to set an example, especially when you want to separate yourself from another former billionaire owner. So, speaking on the terms of football, you have allowed a older football player who don't have much time left in their career. Okay, they're Tom Brady. And then you have a younger football player who has a very lengthful career if God allows them. And we could say that's Patrick Mahomes. And you allow this Tom Brady to come and tell you that we're going to take Patrick out of the game for over a half a year because he allegedly said something that Tom Brady didn't like. And you're the coach, you're the owner of the football team. And it should be you that have the final say. But instead, Tony, you have kind of just let things fall at the wayside with you. And I don't understand why that is, but I'm hoping that at some point you do put Ricky back on TV, or you let him out of his contract and let him go and be with his friends and associates in the WWE. Um, but I also understand that when it comes down to running a business and stuff, you don't want your best employees to leave. But when you have one of your best employees on ice and you're not using them, and then they're doing interviews and appearances, and they have to let their fans know that them not being on TV is not a choice of theirs, and they don't really have a say in it. They're just dealing with it the best way they know how. It's kind of hard not to feel sorry for you. Well, rather, it's kind of hard to feel sorry for you when it comes down to that, because you're setting an example not only for that particular wrestler, but you're setting an example for all the other wrestlers who might want to expand their resume under other promotions. So, you got to do better. And it's from here on out, it's always going to be free Ricky Starks. And it's up. So, the final topic of the episode is definitely Wrestledream from last night. And don't get me wrong, the pay-per-view was good. Long, but that's AEW's MO, so I'm kind of used to it now. I even have a little inner joke where I say watching the AEW pay-per-view is like pulling a part-time shift, which it does feel like that after a while. I mean, 6-7 hours is a part-time shift, but it was good. There's always going to be pros and cons when it comes down to these shows, and the only con that I've had about Wrestledream was the fact that there was only one women's match throughout the whole pay-per-view. Now, we did have a match during the 0 hour with Harley versus Anna Jay, but that was during the 0 hour. During the actual pay-per-view itself, we only had one, and that was the women's title championship match with Mariah May and Willow Nightingale. Now, I love watching both of these women wrestle when they're feuding with other people, like the whole feud with Mariah May and Toni Storms. That was chef's kiss. Like, that whole feud was one of the greatest women feuds we've had in AEW in a while. And when it comes down to Willow is just such a joy to watch. Like, she is such a star within herself, and I love watching her. And I kind of wish that they had built more on her feud with Chris Statlander, but just with her and her small feud with Mariah May. Look, suggestions. Don't end this feud because of that one match. Build on it. Build on it. To have that little small window with Mariah May and then put her in a championship match and then toss the feud away is a waste of feud. Build on that feud. Now, you could either have Mariah May continue to taunt Willow and kind of build this animosity between them two, but stop putting Mariah May in these tired, tirelessly empty title defenses. Like, build a story behind it. Like, give us something, okay? Be Martin Scorsese. So, my second favorite match of Wrestledream was definitely the triple threat match between Takeshita, Ricochet, and the now former champion Will Ospreay. And I didn't really know whether or not Will was going to lose the title. I kind of suspected that something was going to happen. If you remember, I told you that Don Callis' own shadow shouldn't trust him. So I kind of suspected that Don was going to do something. And he delivered. He tried to stab Ospreay in the head with a screwdriver, but Will was able to prevent that from happening. But what I didn't expect was for Kyle Fletcher to come out and attack his friend and ultimately um, deliver a real brutal tiger driver on Ospreay. And I wonder if Ospreay learned how to do the little seizing up at the end from Bryan Danielson, because the way he did it, it was very Bryan Danielson. And it made me wonder, like, damn, like, that looks kind of real. Like, is he okay? Like, yeah, I might want to go and check on him. Like, there's something, yeah, like, it kind of made me nervous. But, overall, it was a good match, and congratulations to Takeshita. Yeah. So, definitely the match of the night for me was the main event match, which was the AEW World Championship match against Jon Moxley and the GOAT, Bryan Danielson. And I kind of suspected Bryan was going to lose the title. Like I said, it felt poetic that he would lose his title in his home state by his best friend. It just felt like that was probably the right time, which now it makes sense why they took that title defense away from Darby, which, it's hurtful. And it might explain why Darby felt the way he felt at the very end of the match, because Washington is his home state, and to have the opportunity to have the title drop to you by someone of Bryan's standards would definitely, you know, put such a high remark, on my career. And, it was taken from him and given to John. And I can understand why. John is Bryan's friend. He's his closest friend. And definitely, according to Fightful Select, apparently that was Bryan's desire, was to lose to John. So that's how that goes. But I thought it was kind of interesting how the match ended. John kind of looked as though he was disappointed after putting Bryan to sleep in a submission hole, and the referee kind of just said he's out, and that's how Bryan had lost the title. Which, of course, when I watched it, I'm just like, what? That's it? Like, no, like, ring that bell. We put some more time on the clock, but that is how that they decided to change hands. And John, I don't know, John kind of looked like he was a little disappointed. Maybe that's just the way I interpret it, but that's how it looked to me. But that only lasted for a couple of seconds, because then he pulled out a plastic bag and he was going to take Bryan out again with that plastic bag. Fortunately, or unfortunately, he didn't do it. He had Willard to do it, which, Willard, that may have been a wise choice for you. Because as I said before, you're kind of on the featherweight side. And when it comes down to guys like Pac and Claudio and John and even Marina, you would have been on the losing end of that. So it was probably best that you have went with the grain instead of going against the grain. And he took out his own mentor, which was sad. Everybody came out. Orange, Darby, Double J, Jeff Jarrett, Private Party, anybody and everybody who cared about Brian came out to try to prevent what was happening from happening. And it was a very somber moment to end. But I enjoyed the comparison between the ending of Wrestledream and the ending of Bad Blood with The Rock, pretty much threatening Roman and Cody. So with that high level ending for Bad Blood and the very somber ending for Wrestledream, I definitely loved the comparison between them two. It was a really good ending for a show. I also forgot two things. I forgot that there was some returns. We had the return of Swerve Strickland, who have decided to stick with Prince Nana and pretty much tell MVP, take your business proposition and shove it. Sheldon Benjamin wasn't really liking that, so if Bobby does come and whoop Swerve's ass for disrespecting his boys, that might make for good TV. Also, we had this moment with Orange Cassidy, where pretty much they just told him, you the man, and it kind of reminded me of the scene from Juice at the very end when Q came out the elevator and they told him like, yo, you got the juice now. That's what it reminded me of. It's kind of like they was telling Orange like, hey, you can be the man. You can definitely run this show. And I've been saying that for the longest time. I think it was time for Orange to be AEW champion. I would love to see him as AEW World Champion. I would. But you have now given the title to Thanos. You kind of given the title to the scary bald man in AEW. And I don't want to see Orange get destroyed. So maybe y'all could give him a title shot after you take the title from John. Yeah. Also, we had some returns during Wrestledream. We had Daniel Garcia. Daniel. I'm not going to say what it is that I'm feeling, I guess. I will just say this. If you are happy in AEW, then I'm happy that you're happy. And I would love to see where this storyline goes between Daniel and the scapegoat, Jack Perry. Now, Jack Perry, I had my reservations about him because of the whole CM Punk thing. Because, I'm CM Punk for life, okay? For life. But I can honestly admit that Jack Perry is very entertaining to watch. He is very entertaining to watch, and he's young. He's under 30. He's still got a whole career ahead of him to be exactly where CM Punk is, if that's a desire of his. I don't know. But I would love to see where this storyline necessarily goes between Daniel Garcia and Jack Perry. If Daniel is the one that takes the title off of Jack Perry, I think that would be really interesting. I mean, Daniel deserves a title. You kind of played on his top with the whole taking the title off of Will Ospreay and then the whole MJF thing. So if y'all have somehow managed to convince this boy to stay, give him that damn title. We also had the return of MJF, who came out and attacked Daniel after he attacked Jack, which was like, okay, what do you want? It was like, I thought the feud between y'all two was over, so why are you here? But his little celebratorial dance definitely ended really quickly when one of my favorite guys, Adam Cole Baby, came back. I watch him. I watch Adam on Twitch all the time, and he just seemed like the sweetest, kindest, most sensitive, gentle type of guy. Like, he looks like he bakes cookies and bring them to work. He looks like he'll take the shirt off of his back, and place it over a puddle for you to walk over. Like, he looks like he is just one of the absolute, genuinely nicest guys in the world. And I've never heard anything bad about Adam. So I'm affirming that he is a good guy. And so pretty much he came and he scared MJF off out of the ring, and he ran like a coward, which is very suiting for him. And yeah, Adam Cole Baby is back. So thank you for those who have stuck with me throughout this whole episode. It's fun recording these episodes. There's one thing that I wanted most when I said I wanted to start my own podcast, and that was just the freedom of speaking about things that is important to me and the things that I feel should be spoken out more. And when I first started my column, that was the whole premise of that whole column, was just to speak as candidly as possible. But, to be honest, y'all don't like reading. Y'all like videos. And so I really had to toughen up and decide, okay, I need to get my ass in front of a camera and just put my thoughts on in visual form. And so this is what has come from it. So again, thank you to those who have tuned in. Excuse my son in the background. He is an only child, so of course he thrives off of attention, and also he's a Virgo. So no offense to the Virgos out there, but y'all know y'all like attention as well. So again, thank you for those who have tuned in. Look out for next week's episode, which will be different because I will be at Comic-Con all 4 days. So it won't be a sit-at-home episode next week. It will be an out and about and amongst crowds type of episode. So I don't know what that craziness is going to look like, but it should be fun. Thank you, and see you next week.